Courtesy and Etiquette, Part 1 of What the Fork? Course 1. What's on the menu? Don't panic. I'll explain everything. Have you ever been invited to a banquet or gala, wedding reception, a business luncheon, a church event, a family reunion, a holiday party, or another special occasion? Or maybe you walked into a restaurant that turned out to be a whole lot fancier than you expected. Perhaps you never attended an event with an elegant place setting before, and if that's you, relax. By the end of this video, you'll know about 95% more than most of the people sitting at those tables. You look at the table, you sit down, glasses, spoons, plates. There's enough equipment on the table for a family of 6, and you're thinking, what the fork? Don't panic. That's exactly why we're here. This isn't about pretending you're royalty. It isn't about impressing people, and it certainly isn't about making someone feel foolish because they picked up the wrong fork. Etiquette has one simple purpose. It helps the people around you to feel comfortable, including you. Maybe you're simply trying to be prepared, like all good little scouts should. I hope this video helps take away some of the mystery, and maybe even gives you a few ideas for hosting an event of your own. Now, this isn't the final word on etiquette. There are entire books devoted to the subject. My goal is simply to help you relax, feel comfortable, and enjoy yourself, even in the fanciest of settings. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. People are much more likely to remember how you made them feel than whether you accidentally picked up the wrong fork. So, let's take the mystery out of formal dining. Let's remove the fear, and let's answer the question, what the fork? Course 2. Your place setting. Now, we've arrived at the part that makes most people say, yeah, what the fork? The good news is, it's much easier than it looks. I like to think of the place setting as a clock, and we're going to start on the left side of your plate, the 9 o'clock. Then we'll move to the top from about 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and we'll finish on the right at the 3 o'clock side. By the time we're done, you'll know what almost everything is for, so let's start at 9 o'clock. The left side. You'll usually find your napkin on the left side of the plate. Sometimes it's folded neatly, sometimes it's sitting on the plate, sometimes it's tucked into a water glass, and sometimes it looks like somebody spent 3 hours folding it into a swan. Don't worry about how they folded it. Your job is much easier. We'll talk more about napkins in the next course. For now, just know where it starts. Next on your left come your forks. Here's one of the easiest rules you'll learn today. Ready? Outside in. That's it. Outside in. Begin with the outside utensil that's farthest away from the plate and work your way toward the plate. In many meals, that's your salad fork. Next fork is your dinner fork. If there's a third fork, it's usually for seafood or another specialty course. Don't panic. It usually means another course is coming. Speaking of which, let's pause for a minute and clarify what a course is. A course is simply one part of the meal that's served separately. An appetizer is a course. A salad is a course. Your main dish, whether it's meat, fish, or something else, is another course, of course. And yes, dessert is a course too. So if your meal includes all 4 of those, congratulations, you're enjoying a 4-course meal. If you're at a restaurant, the menu will usually list the courses. At a banquet or special event, your host may simply tell you how many courses will be served. Either way, knowing several courses are coming can help you pace yourself. Because if you eat like it's Thanksgiving during the appetizer, you may discover there's no room left for dessert. And that would be a tragedy. Now, before anyone writes me a letter There are exceptions. Every culture, chef, restaurant, or caterer doesn't necessarily count courses or set a table exactly the same way. So don't memorize this picture. Learn the principle. Outside, in. Your bread plate, 10 or 11 o'clock. Above your forks, usually you'll see a small plate. That's your bread and butter plate. Resting on it may be a little butter knife. That little knife stays on that little plate. It doesn't travel around the table looking for excitement. If you're served a dinner roll, don't cut it like a steak. Tear off one bite-sized piece at a time. Butter that piece and eat it. Then tear off another piece and repeat as needed. Do not butter the whole roll at once. You're eating dinner, not frosting a cupcake. If there's a tray of individual butter pats going around, take one and place it on your bread plate. If you use it all, you can always take another one later. There isn't a butter shortage, and you don't need to build yourself a little butter mountain worthy of a blue ribbon at a county fair. Just one pat at a time is just fine. Sometimes people ask, can I use my roll to soak up the delicious juices on my dinner plate? Well, sometimes you can. Just be discreet. Don't use your bread to scrub your plates clean enough to skip the dishwasher. Now, above the plate, around noon. Now, let's move to the top of your plate. Sometimes you'll see a dessert spoon, a dessert fork, or both. Those are for dessert later. Sometimes there'll be both a dessert spoon and a dessert fork. Now, don't get all excited and assume that means you're getting two desserts. Sometimes one dessert simply requires both. And if they do bring you two desserts, well, that's just a bonus. Leave those utensils exactly where they are. They'll get their turn. You may also see a place card with your name on it. Sometimes it's about the 11 o'clock position and closer to the 1 or 2 o'clock position. I've even seen it resting right on top of a beautifully folded napkin. There is no magic location. Just look around your place setting. It's usually easy to spot. The right side, 3 o'clock. Now let's move to the right. You'll usually find your dinner knife on the right side of your plate with the blade facing toward your plate. Sometimes you'll notice two knives. One may look like the ordinary dinner knife you have at home, and the other may have tiny serrations like a steak knife. If you're being served steak or another meat that requires a little more cutting, that steak knife is there to make your job easier. You don't need to decide which one to use ahead of time. Once you see what's being served, it usually becomes pretty obvious. Next to the knife or knives, you may see a soup spoon. If soup is being served, that's the spoon you'll use. If not, it may simply stay there. No worries. Your glasses, 1 or 2 o'clock. Now look just above those utensils, the knives and spoons. You'll usually see your glasses, roughly around the 1 or 2 o'clock location. Here's another easy rule. If it's on your right, it's probably yours. If it's on your neighbor's right, which is your left, leave it alone. They'll appreciate it. Don't worry if your glasses don't look exactly like the illustrations I'm showing you. There are dozens of styles. Restaurants buy different patterns. Glass manufacturers design different shapes. The important thing isn't recognizing every style. It's understanding what they're generally used for. We'll talk more about those glasses and why there seem to be so many of them in the next course. BMW. An easy way to remember BMW, if you ever get confused about which bread plate or glass belongs to you, here's a wonderfully simple little trick. Just remember BMW. No, it doesn't stand for Bavarian Motor Works. B is for bread, on your left. M is for your meal, in the middle. And W is for water, on your right. Bread, meal, water. BMW. That's a whole lot easier than staring at the table and wondering which little plate belongs to whom, right? One last look. Now look at the entire place setting again. It probably doesn't look quite as intimidating as it did a few minutes ago, does it? You don't need to memorize every possible place setting. Just remember the clock, 9 o'clock, napkins, forks, bread plate just above them. Around noon, dessert utensils and possibly your place card. 3 o'clock, knife, spoon, and just above them, 1 or 2 o'clock, your variety of drinking glasses. When it comes to all those utensils, remember outside in, or BMW. Bread on the left, meal in front of you, water on your right. That's enough to get you through an awful lot of meals without ever having to think, what the fork? Course 3. Now looky here. You've already learned things most people never knew, and we're only getting started. This course is simply to remove the mystery from some of those little extras you may see at a formal dinner. You may never encounter every one of these, but if you do, you'll smile and think, I learned that on YouTube. A large centerpiece. If you happen to sit down at a table with a centerpiece so enormous you can't even see the people across from you, well, don't worry about it. Apparently the host wasn't expecting you to converse with them anyway. Look at it this way. That's fewer people you have to make a conversation with. So just enjoy the flowers and talk to the people you can actually see. Warm finger towels. Let's start with something you might even see on an airplane. If you've ever flown first class, the flight attendants may hand you what looks like a tightly rolled little towel. It's warm. Sometimes it has a light lemon scent. It's simply for refreshing your hands before the meal. Unroll it, wipe your hands, fold it loosely. If you're at an event, place it on the plate provided for it. On a flight, simply place it back on the tray or wherever the flight attendant instructs you. The first time I saw this, the gentleman sitting next to me quietly leaned over and asked, "What's this for?" He happened to be an executive. See, even successful people don't automatically know every dining custom. Nobody is born knowing these things. Somebody simply showed them. Today, that's me. Finger bowls. Now let's move from the warm towels to the finger bowls. Most people will never encounter a finger bowl, but if you ever do, you'll know exactly what it's for. Occasionally, you'll be served foods that are meant to be eaten with your fingers. Things like lobster, crab, Cornish game hen, or shrimp with the shell still on. Afterward, the waitstaff may place a tiny bowl of warm water in front of you, usually sitting on a doily and underplate. Sometimes there's a slice of lemon floating in it. Sometimes there's even a flower blossom. That's called a finger bowl. It's simply for rinsing the tips of your fingers. Notice I said the tips of your fingers. And one hand at a time. Not your whole hand and not both at once. You're not washing up for surgery here. So just dip your fingertips and you're finished. If the waitstaff doesn't immediately remove the finger bowl, it's perfectly acceptable to move the bowl and underplate together to the 11 o'clock position at the upper left of your place setting. It may simply mean there are more finger foods coming and you'll need it again. Now, I have to tell you something funny. I've actually seen photos online of table centerpieces labeled as finger bowls. Here's a helpful clue. If it has a floating candle in it, it's probably not your finger bowl. And I can't believe I have to actually say this. Don't drink it. Seafood bibs. Now, if the chef is serving something particularly messy, like lobster, don't be surprised if the waitstaff brings you a seafood bib. Yes, adults wear bibs too. No, you don't need to be embarrassed. The waitstaff may even tie it around your neck for you. Just lean forward a little, smile, and let them. Trust me, Everyone else at the table is wearing one too. Charger plates. Sometimes you'll notice a large decorative plate already sitting at your place before any food arrives. That's called a charger plate. Think of it as the table's welcome mat. The dinner plates are served on top of it. As each course comes and goes, the charger plate usually stays right where it is until the main course has been completed. So, leave it alone. It already knows what it's supposed to do. Palate cleansers. Every now and then, you'll receive a tiny scoop of what looks like sherbet or sorbet or a slushie. They're usually a slightly lemon or champagne flavor, served in a small dish with its own tiny spoon, called a demi-tasse spoon. It is served between heavier courses to help reset the palate before the next flavor profile is served. It typically arrives already plated in a small cup or shallow dish, placed directly where the previous course's plate was set, such as the charger plate. This is not a preset item on the table like silverware. This is not dessert. Not yet. It's called a palate cleanser. Its purpose is simply to remove the lingering flavors from the previous course so you can better enjoy the next one. Think of it as pressing the refresh button on your taste buds. It's not sweet nor bitter because that wouldn't cleanse your palate. 1 or 2 bites is usually plenty. You are not supposed to eat it all. After 1 or 2 bites, lay or rest the spoon on the dish itself, handle toward the right, bowl of the spoon resting on the dish, not on the tablecloth. The staff will clear the spoon along with the dish together as one unit. Then you're ready for the next course. Cold soup? Speaking of surprises, one day you may be served cold soup. Yes, really. The soup course may be served hot or cold depending on the season and the menu. Cold soups are traditionally favored for summer or warm weather formal meals as a refreshing starter, while hot soups, consommé or a bisque, etc., are more common in the cooler weather formal dinners. One famous example of a cold soup is vichyssoise. It's French, potato leek soup, classically served chilled, though it can technically be served hot as its parent soup, potage pimienta. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. Other examples are gazpacho. It's a Spanish tomato-based, always cold, cucumber soup, usually cold, often yogurt or cream-based. Borscht is beet soup, exists in both hot, a Ukrainian Russian tradition, and cold Eastern European summer versions. Consommé madrilène, named after Madrid in Spain. It's a clarified tomato consommé, often served chilled as a formal first course. And then fruit soups, chilled melon, berry, or stone fruit based. Common as a light summer starter, always cold. The first time many people encounter a soup cold, they think, I think somebody forgot to heat my soup. No, it's supposed to be cold. Give it a taste before deciding whether you like it. You may discover a new favorite, or you may quietly decide, one taste was enough, thank you. Both are perfectly acceptable. At least you tried. Wine glasses, the 1 and 2 o'clock. Now let's briefly talk about those glasses sitting above your knife. Don't worry about memorizing every shape. Glassware has changed over the years. Manufacturers make different styles. Restaurants buy different patterns. Don't be surprised if your glasses don't look exactly like the illustrations I'm showing you. The important thing is understanding their general purpose. One glass may be for water, another for white wine, another for red wine, and perhaps a champagne flute. Or perhaps none of those. Every event is a little different. If you don't drink wine, that is perfectly okay. A simple, no thank you, is all you need. If you're recovering from alcohol addiction or simply choose not to drink, never feel embarrassed. Your health is more important than anyone's opinion, and the wait staff will be happy to accommodate you. One final thought. See? None of this was nearly as mysterious as it first appeared. Most elegant dinners aren't trying to test you. They're simply introducing you to traditions you may not have experienced before. If you happen to encounter something you've never seen, watch what others are doing, or quietly ask the waitstaff. Trust me, they've answered those questions many times before, and they'd much rather answer your question than watch you drink from the finger bowl. Course 4. Eating without embarrassing yourself. Well, you've made it this far. You found your seat, you know which fork to start with, you haven't mistaken the finger bowl for soup. I'd say you're doing pretty well. Now let's talk about actually eating the meal. Wait until everyone has been served. If you're dining with a small group, it's courteous to wait until everyone has been served before beginning. If it's a large banquet with hundreds of guests, your host or hostess may encourage everyone to begin while the food is still hot. Simply follow their lead. Remember, the host sets the pace. The outside-in rule. Remember we talked about the forks? You don't have to memorize which fork goes with which course. Just remember, outside in. The utensils farthest from your plate are generally used first. As each course is finished, you'll naturally work your way toward the plate. See? One less thing to worry about. Soup, including the actual soup spoon technique. Soup seems simple until you're sitting in front of a fancy bowl wondering if there are rules. Well, there are a few. Whether it's a hot soup or a cold soup, hold your spoon so that the bowl of the spoon is running parallel with your body. Instead of scooping toward yourself, you dip the far side of the spoon into the soup and gently scoop away from you. Then bring the spoon toward your mouth and sip quietly from the side of the spoon. Don't put the entire spoon in your mouth. Think of it this way: scoop on the far side, sip from the near side. Scoop on the far side, sip from the near side. That's much easier to remember than trying to picture which direction to move the spoon. Try something new. Sooner or later, someone is going to serve you something you've never seen before. It might even have a name you can't pronounce, like vichyssoise. Don't panic. Try a small bite. Like I said earlier, you may discover a brand new favorite. Or you may discover why people have different tastes. If you absolutely don't care for it, don't make a face. Don't announce, "Who in the world eats this?" And please don't act like someone just tried to poison you. Simply set your fork down for a moment, take a sip of water. If you truly cannot swallow it, quietly cover your mouth with your napkin. Discreetly remove the bite into your napkin, fold the napkin over it, and continue enjoying the evening. Since you're not at a watermelon seed spitting contest, there is no room to launch it across the room. If you need a moment, excuse yourself and visit the restroom. Take your napkin with you. Dispose of the deposit you put in the napkin. Compose yourself, then return and enjoy the company, even if you don't enjoy the entree. What about elbows on the table? You've probably heard it all your life. Get your elbows off the table. But have you ever been told why? During the meal, keeping your elbows off the table gives everyone a little more room to eat comfortably. It also helps to keep your sleeves and elbows out of anything that may have spilled onto the tablecloth. And here's one people don't think often about. If your elbow bumps the handle of your fork or knife, you might accidentally send it scooting or flying across the table. None of those things make for a relaxing dinner. Once the meal is ended and the dishes have been cleared, etiquette becomes much more relaxed. At that point, resting your forearms or even your elbows on the table while visiting is generally perfectly acceptable. The rule isn't really about elbows. It's about helping everyone enjoy the meal, including you. Leave room for conversation. One more thing. Relax and take reasonable bites. Don't look like you're racing the clock or look like the first one finished gets seconds. Take smaller bites, not microscopic bites, of course, just small enough that you're not still chewing when someone asks you a question. One benefit for taking smaller bites is that it gives you a chance to savor your food. Enjoy it. Try not to fill your mouth so full that you couldn't answer a simple question. I mean, it never fails. The moment you've taken the biggest bite of the evening, someone will ask, "Is everything tasting all right?" Or the waiter will appear and ask, "Would you like some more tea?" Now you're trying to answer with cheeks puffed out like a chipmunk, not exactly the elegant look we're going for. Take smaller bites. Not because there's a rule about it, but because it lets you enjoy the food, join the conversation, and it keeps you from looking like you're trying to vacuum your dinner, causing guests to start to wonder if they should start looking for your off switch. Talking with your hands. And while we're talking about conversation, most of us naturally talk with our hands. There's nothing wrong with that, until you're holding a fork or a knife. If you're telling a story or making a point, set your utensils down first. That way you won't accidentally point your fork at someone or send a utensil flying because your hands got more excited than your story. The only thing people should remember about your story is the story itself, not that they had to duck halfway through it. It only takes a split second for someone to lean into or step closer, or for you to turn unexpectedly, and then embarrassment happens or the coroner is called. So let your words do the talking, empty-handed. If it's spicier than blazes, every once in a while you'll take a bite of something and suddenly realize this must have been seasoned by someone settling a grudge. If that happens, don't panic. Take a sip of water. If bread is available, take a bite. If salad is being served, a bite of lettuce may help cool your mouth and dissipate the oils in the spice. The important thing is, don't make a scene. Don't start fanning your tongue. If your eyes start watering and you suddenly begin hearing colors, just smile and quietly reach for your beverage. But whatever you do, don't announce to the entire ballroom that somewhere a dragon is missing its breath. Cornish game hen. Remember that Cornish game hen I mentioned earlier? Sometimes foods are simply meant to be enjoyed a little differently. A Cornish game hen is one of them. Unlike most meats at a formal dinner, it's perfectly acceptable to use your fingers. The legs and wings are usually picked up just as you would fried chicken. The breast meat can be cut into small bites with your knife and fork. And don't worry about picking meat off the back. There's very little meat there anyway, and it's perfectly acceptable to leave it. If you're ever unsure, watch your host, watch the people around you, or quietly ask the member of the waitstaff. Most people are happy to help, and remember, everyone experiences a first time. If you drop something. If you drop your fork, knife, or spoon, or napkin, or bread, or escargot, snails, leave it. Frankly, I'd have left it before it ever reached the table, even if it's right there within arm's reach. Leave it. And don't crawl under the table or disappear beneath the tablecloth like you're searching for buried treasure. Simply catch the attention of your server and quietly ask for another whatever it was you dropped. They'll be happy to bring you a replacement. Let the wait staff do their job. When the meal is finished, resist the urge to gather your plates into one towering stack, and please do not hand any of your plates to your server. They're trained to clear the table safely and efficiently. Your helping could mean something spills or drops or even breaks. So the best thing you can do is simply lean back enough to give them room to work. Courtesy sometimes means allowing people to do the job they've been trained to do. And one last bite of advice. If you forgot one of these little rules, do not panic. People are much more interested in enjoying your company than inspecting your silverware technique. Just relax, smile, enjoy the meal. That's what everyone came for in the first place, right? Well, either that or the door prizes. What about the people? Now that we've figured out what's happening on the table, there's one other rather important part of formal dining: the people sitting around it. In the next video, part 2, we'll talk about conversation, courtesy, those awkward little "what do I do now" moments, and how to leave as gracefully as you arrived. If this video helped take some of the mystery out of the formal dining, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up. And hopefully you'll join me for What the Fork? The People, Part 2. Until next time, it's all calmly said.